He'll give me some performance elements, but when this guy goes live, he turns into a different character. At the time, I was helping Val a lot prep his routines. I would immediately do Jason Kelsey.
Can you speak a little bit about what your life is like outside those 4-hour blocks?
I'm surviving.
I think the question on everyone's mind is this. Who did the voiceover for the Halloween intro? Was that Joey?
It was Joey. We both recorded it, but I could not get my voice to sound creepy. It like kept coming out very sexy and it was like not the right vibe. And Joey was doing this terrifying version of what he thought I would sound like. And it was perfect. But I'm so sad because we were so excited to record it. And then the show went on, we did our dance. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we never told anyone that that was your voice. So that was Joey.
It was a big mystery for me.
That was him.
Do you think that he's been picking up your choreo much easier as the weeks go by? Because I feel like he's killing it.
He is amazing. I am so beyond grateful to be paired with him. He's just one of those like unicorns that you get once every 10 seasons that you're just like, thank goodness there's someone like you who's so smart, who can pick up choreography, who's so open to the experience. But I will say there were no expectations for him coming into the competition. So when we started, it was just like fun and let's see what you can do. And he kept having all these cool things that he could do, like drum and do a backflip and all of this stuff. And I would say that by like week 6, there started to become a lot of pressure put on him, and he was putting it on himself because all of a sudden people were like, oh, well, you can dance. So, we expect this every week. And I feel like week 6, week 7 were our toughest weeks because he was super stressed out that he wasn't picking it up as fast. And I was like, wait a minute, buddy. You are not a dancer. Like, don't forget that this is all new for you. So I feel like this week we're back into the groove of things of like, let's just do this for us with no pressure or expectations put on us, but just because this is an amazing experience and you've never done this before, and let's see what you can do rather than we have to be held to this certain standard. Does that make sense? Do
you feel like it's unlocked like a whole new level of moves that he can do now because he is more trained?
Yes, I feel like now that we have like a repertoire under our belt, we have things that we can pull from and be like, oh yeah, you're amazing at pivots, or you're really good at this step. So it's fun in that sense where not everything is foreign, where there is something to pull from each week, and we can build off of that, which is really, really exciting.
I mean, he came out of the gate with 3 7s, which is crazy.
We went first the premiere night, which I was like,
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's amazing because they want to start off the season with someone that's really exciting. So it was an honor, but I was like, I was prepping him. We're probably going to get pretty low scores because whoever goes first up of the season, they're not going to start high. So when I saw 3 7s, I was like, wait, what's happening? And then I was like, wait, where do we go from here? This is week 1. But I'm just so proud of him. I think he set this season off right. And now it's just been fun to be like, where can we go from here?
Can we go back to that first week?
Yeah.
Everyone who's come into this podcast has talked about how you never know how your celeb is going to react to the lights, the cameras, the crowd. Yeah. How did Joey handle it when you guys walked out into that ballroom?
He was a superstar, honestly, because he is not a performer. He's never had to perform on a stage like that before. It's not like he's an actor. And everything that he's done on television has been pre-recorded in the sense that they can edit anything. So the live aspect is really scary for anybody, but especially for Joey, like this was really new to him. And he's so funny because we practice. He's a really hard worker and we practice every single day, and he'll give me some performance elements. But when this guy goes live, he turns into a different character. And that first week was the first time I saw it. I was like, what facials were you doing? Like, I'd never seen them before. There were all sorts of memes of him like doing the cowboy thing. that came out of nowhere. And every week when we perform, something comes over him and he just like, he becomes a performer. It's so funny because we'll watch the dances back and I'll be like, who was that? Who was that? What were those facials? But I love that he's loving this experience and he's so willing to just put himself out there and not hold back.
Would you say that his last performance is the best one each time?
Yes. I think that's when, you know, you have no regrets of like, I'm going to give everything because this is the last time we're going to do this. And I think it's a bittersweet experience for us every time we dance because it's like, we're so excited to show off what we've done and what we've rehearsed for, but it's also the last time you're going to be doing that piece. And
then you forget it forever. Or at least in his case, he'll forget it.
And it's like almost like you've nurtured this thing for so long and then that's the last time. So I think we do try to have that mindset of like, let's make this our best time yet because it is our last time and we put so much hard work into it. So we do have that. We have like a little saying like last time, best time.
Right. Real quick, guys, today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel. If you're in need for a midweek boost, FanDuel has you covered as America's #1 sportsbook. The Hump Day Parlays reward stack is here. Now, every Wednesday, you can get parlay profit boosts on everything from spreads to over-unders and even player props. So don't let the weekend have all the fun. Today's the day. Take advantage of the Hump Day Parlays reward stack. Who knows? It might just become your favorite day. So look for the Hump Day Parlays reward stack in the FanDuel app to find your profit boosts. And if you're new to FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com/lightweights today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So if you want to support this podcast, go check them out. And thank you so much for watching. Now, back to the video. When you watch back the Disney night,
yes,
that had the coolest stage presence of like all the production.
Yeah.
That's the first time you really get to see it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're watching it back, are you blown away at how cool it is?
For sure. I think also leading up to the performance, as the pro, I'm so stressed out of all the little things.
In terms of what?
In terms of just Joey feeling confident and comfortable with his moves, us having the right flow, the camera angles, is the choreography good enough? Honestly, until it's showtime, I don't even think about my own steps because I'm so worried about all the other elements. And so I think there's so much going on in my brain that finally, once it's over and I get to watch it back, I have a new lens of like, wow, it really came together and I'm so proud. And yeah, Disney night, especially with all of like the background and the artwork that they had put into it, I really felt like we were put into the scene of Trash in the Camp.
Right. What was I going to say? Oh my God. It was just there. Oh.
Tarzan.
Tarzan. How does it feel having Bachelor Nation behind you?
I've experienced Bachelor Nation one other time with
Grocery Store Joe.
Grocery Store Joe. He's
great name.
The best. I've had 3 Joes. I've had Joe Mabile, JoJo Siwa, and now Joey. Like, I'm just always with a Joe. Anyway, I've experienced Bachelor Nation one time and I was blown away by the loyalty, the commitment, the passion that they had for their people and their favorites. So that was the first time I had experienced it. And I was like, wow, this is insane. And Joe wasn't the best dancer. He wasn't. But we made it all the way to the semifinals. And I was like, this is the power of a fan base. And I hadn't experienced that yet. And so I was so excited once I was paired with Joey because I knew that, first of all, he was a fan favorite for sure. I had heard so many wonderful things about him. And then, yeah, just Bachelor Nation has really been a united front this season for us. And we had, Jen as well. So I think there was a little stress of like, will the votes be split or how will that work? But I think they really rallied and we both have made it so far. Unfortunately, Jen got eliminated last week, but they've just been such an awesome and committed fan base.
It's so wild to see them all come together. So like when you get Joey, does that all come, like, are you thinking about all those things? Like, okay, cool, we have this fandom, we really have to perform, he can like dance.
Yes. And again, I think ultimately like you want somebody that's going to be able to have some sort of athleticism
Of
or
course.
dance or natural groove movement, right? And I had no idea. I didn't watch his season, so I didn't know. And I don't think he ever really, really danced. He had like a flamenco scene, but he wasn't his best. But so I didn't know what to expect. I just heard like, he plays tennis. He's going to be an athlete. When I met him and I started to see the way that his body was able to move, he's super agile, but honestly, more than anything, he's so smart. I think the aspect of him being a coach himself makes him an incredible student.
Right.
He understands where the critique is coming from. He doesn't take it personally. He takes it with like motivation of this is ABC to get to D, you know? So he's really methodical. Sometimes he gets a little too methodical with it where he asks so many questions. When I first met him, I was like, oh boy, we're going to have so many questions this season. But I love it. I love that he is so thorough and really wants to know what he's doing, why he's doing it, and how it gets him from point A to point B.
When I talked to Daniela, she was kind of talking about how she needed Pasha to be there so that she can work her moves around a male. Mm-hmm. You've had the opportunity to work with JoJo Siwa.
Yeah.
Is that a big thing that men and women can have two different stances or moves like that or abilities?
So when I was paired with JoJo, that was a big fear for me is I was so comfortable choreographing with a guy.
Because that's just, you've always trained like that.
Yes, and that's also what those moves are the moves that I knew that I would look best doing as well.
Oh.
So I was now in a position of like, okay, how do I do choreography or a sequence where both of us are going to look feminine? Because JoJo wanted to come in and she was down to do the male steps, but she wanted to look feminine doing them. And so I was like, how do I make both of us look powerful and strong, but feminine while doing the guy steps? Like, also, she's probably not going to look amazing, like dipping me or thrashing me or like body rolling with me. So it was like that was one of my favorite seasons, in the aspect that it pushed me creatively the most to really jump out of my comfort zone. And I love living in my comfort zone, but that was such a powerful moment for me because it really took it to the next level where I couldn't just rely on what felt comfortable and what I was used to. But I think with my choreography, especially that season, that was some of my most proud work with her.
I really love your choreography.
Thank you.
I'd love to know your process for when you hear a song, how you translate it out for the entire minute and a half.
Okay, well, it's crazy because I grew up a competitive kid dancing, but no one ever is like, this is how you choreograph. And it wasn't until I joined the show season 18, Mandy Moore, who's an incredible choreographer, she was over all of like the opening numbers at that time on Dancing with the Stars.
What do you mean? She was making all of them?
Yeah, she was doing all of the opening pieces each week. And looking back now, I'm like, man, that was a luxury that we had her every single week. But I was so fortunate enough. She would ask me sometimes to come in and just like be a body or prep some work with her. And I feel like that was the first time I really learned how to choreograph a piece. So I say that I'm under like the Mandy Moore method. And basically what I learned how to do was you listen to the piece of music, and I like to listen to it a couple of times, get familiar with it. Then I write out all of my 8s. So I do it with like tick marks. So listen to the first 8, write it down, tick mark. And then I go through the whole song like that and kind of break it up into phrasing of like intro, first section, chorus, last bridge, end section.
Are you writing this all in a notepad?
Yes. And it's really, I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual person in general. So having it broken down into those 8 counts really helps me see how I want to space out my routine. So then from there, I kind of listen to, I love lyrics. So if there's like an accent or a lyric that I really want to hit, I start coming up with moves that like, okay, I really want to do this, or I see this. For example, with the Tarzan piece that Joey and I just did, I knew that there was a breakdown section that I really wanted to have. So I set aside those 2 8s and I was like, okay, I added that to the music because I really wanted to make a powerful breakdown that felt musical and dynamic. Anyway, so then, yeah, I just start building. I usually start with like the big heavy meat sections first. I always leave the beginning and the ending for the last thing to do because I never want to get married or committed to how I want to start something because it could evolve so much throughout the week. So yeah, I usually start with like the meatier parts and then I piece it all together.
So did you save the Halloween night ending for the last part?
There were a couple of versions of how we were going to end, but I knew that, again, storyline is also so important to me. I love storytelling. So with the ending of that, I was like, I don't know yet how we want to end. Like, what is the storyline? Do you kill me? Does she kill you? Do we end back on the chair together in like our regular position? I was like, what is the ending? But it just felt right to like snap his neck. So
is figuring out a good ending almost harder because it's like the tail end. So if he misses a step, that's really where everything can kind of trail off.
It's interesting because I always tell this to Joey too. No matter how the routine goes, I am so anal about finishing stronger than we started because that's the last thing that they're going to remember. They will forget about all of the in-between things. But how you finish it is the last thing that they'll remember and the last statement you're setting. So even in rehearsal, if we messed up or something and we finish and he kind of is like, oh, I'm like, no. You finish it, you hold for 3 counts, and then we can talk about what happened because the ending is so important for me. So yeah, that's a really big thing.
You're in a crazy position where you're married to
Yes.
someone else on the show.
Yeah.
So you said you figured out how to do your choreo that first season.
Yes.
Is Val, he was already established, so he has a completely different method?
You know, I would say that season I was on troupe, so I wasn't a pro yet. And I had a couple of seasons where I was on troupe. And at the time, I was helping Val a lot, prep his routines. And I feel like I learned also a lot of my choreography style from Val. He was already established. He was super confident in who he was and like what his dancing was. And so I feel like, yeah, I'm a mix of like Mandy and Val and then him like pumping me up and being like, yeah, you gotta show off your stuff. You gotta believe in yourself. So a lot of Val pep talks have transitioned my style of work. But I'm so grateful for that time. I think, you know, I was a little frustrated that I was on troupe for so long.
How many seasons did you do a troupe?
I think it was 7 at the end of the day. I think it was 7. And I, now looking back, would never trade that time because I feel like it really gave me all of the tools for success now. I got to see everybody's process. At that time, Derek was a pro, Mark was a pro, Karina was a pro. We had all of these top tier contenders and I got to see how they do their stuff. And I got to pull from each one of them and really then go into my pro journey. I feel like with all the information that I needed. Again, it's still scary and sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? Am I prepared enough for this? But I'm so grateful for that time where I felt like I really got to learn from the best.
Do you see similarities in the troupe season now with when you first came in?
Yeah. Again, I think now I have such an appreciation for like what the troupe is, and I feel like our troupe now, we have some of the most amazing dancers, and I love that they're proud to be part of it because I felt like I always was, but there was like, oh, but am I a pro? And yes, you are. And so I feel like especially with the 4 people that we have right now on troupe, I love seeing them thrive. They have like a lot of opportunities to really dance their faces off, and I love that they're getting the notoriety that they are. Especially this season. It's really awesome to see.
You've spoken about how you love being able to have all the wardrobe created for all your dances.
Yeah.
Is this a dream that you can pick out whatever you want for your own choreography in front of the nation?
I think it is really important what you're wearing. And again, I don't want to take all of the credit because our creative team, they come to us with inspiration, and color is really important for them, which is totally fine for me. But our incredible wardrobe head that's over the females, her name is Daniela. she and I have an amazing relationship and an amazing bond where she's been with me since season 18. She knows what I love. She knows what I don't like. She knows what styles look best on my body. And she also has been around dance forever, where she knows what styles need which skirt or which movement, you know? So we have such a fun time designing outfits. And even last week was so exciting because I knew that I wanted to be this ventriloquist dummy. And we were like, how can we make this so you look like you're in a suit and a dummy, but still make it Argentine-esque where you can see the legs? So we decided to do like fishnets with little bloomer shorts, but like a cropped jacket. And it's such a fun creative process. And all of those pieces matter. Like for me, I feel like that wardrobe it's the first thing that the people see without you starting to dance. And like that sets the tone with the artwork, you know, with the ballroom lighting and everything. But the wardrobe is so important.
Are there any dances from this season that really you like put it in your Hall of Fame?
There are a few. I really loved our jive that we did to Shout for Soul Train Night. Joey just took the stage by storm and we went all out. And I think even just like from what the wardrobe was, I was really excited about that dress and the look of it, and it just came to life. And I feel like that's when people really took Joey seriously as a contender. They were like, wow, this guy can move. And then also, you know, our tango from Hair Metal Night, where he had a drum solo in the beginning. We had pyro going. Like that was one of my favorites. I think the Tarzan dance, even though it didn't score as high as we would have hoped, that's one of my favorite dances that we've done because he was really giving samba content and technique. And then this last week, again, there's so many, and it all has to do with the fact that Joey is just such an incredible partner, and he really lets my choreography come to life, and it's the biggest dream come true.
How would you describe your coaching style?
Good thing Joey's not here. No, again, I think that connection and chemistry is one of the biggest parts of having success on the show. And so I always want my partner to feel comfortable and safe in the rehearsal space with me, because we're going to be trying uncomfortable things, and you have to be vulnerable and open to looking like a fool, if you will, because you're going to feel like, what am I doing? Why am I moving my hips like this? Why am I putting my hands like this? So I think it's so important to make my partner feel amazing in the rehearsal space with me and like, let's go on this journey together. But I also, you know, I've seen what Joey can do now. I'm just using him as an example, but I now have high standards and high expectations. And if you've done it once for me really well, I'm going to expect you to do it again like that and not go back to bad habits. So I feel like the midway point is when Joey saw a shift, in Jenna, where I do become a little bit more strict. And again, I never want to be condescending. I never want to get to the point where he feels badly about himself, because I am always proud of the effort that he gives me. But this is a competition at the end of the day. I'm competitive, like I am. And I really feel like he could go all the way with this. So I'm going to push us in a healthy way. But yeah, I think in our Disney night package, people saw a different side of me. A scary side of me, unfortunately. I'm not proud of her always, but it is what it is.
So do you guys do other team bonding? Because I saw you went to the LA Hayride.
Yes.
So cool.
Yes.
What else do you guys do outside the rehearsal studio?
It's hard because we are already spending so much time together in the rehearsals, and it doesn't feel like there's many more hours in the day to do anything else. But we have done, there's a place called Voda that is hot and cold recovery, which is really good for our bodies. And especially in the beginning, I feel like we were so sore. So we did some of that, and it's good just to like do something that's good for both of us, that we have the same purpose of going to. And then, yeah, we've had Kelsey and Joey over for dinner, which was so fun. I think any of these little moments that can just like reconnect you outside of the rehearsal space are always so beneficial. Again, just building that bond, building that connection.
Did you know that he requested someone who had a sturdy relationship?
I did as soon as I had met him. He had told me that, and I was like, well, great. You picked the best one. Not that he got a choice, but yeah, I really admire that because I think, especially coming from the Bachelor franchise and seeing people from the Bachelor franchise that have come onto the show, I think it is a really hard process. And especially if you're new in a relationship, it can be tough on that relationship. And so I'm glad that he and Kelsey did their research and asked around and wanted to get all of the knowledge possible before jumping into this. So I really admire that decision. And yeah, I'm fully supportive of that.
Can you speak a little bit about what your life is like outside those 4-hour blocks? I'm surviving. Are you watching those videos back, figuring out what you have to do differently?
Yeah.
This is a 24/7 thing.
Yeah. Going into this season, you kind of prep yourself like, okay, I know that for 3 months, this is going to be my life. It's going to be a bubble. I'm going to have no social life really. But like, you're down for the ride. Because it only happens once a year and it really is so magical what we get to do. So yes, my day is psychotic, and especially with adding being a mother on top of that, I feel sometimes like I'm treading water. I don't know what day it is. I don't even know what day of the week it is. You could not even ask me what the date is today. I don't know.
Are the past few weeks just blurs?
A blur. Yes. But when basically I go to rehearsal, we take videos every day and I see what works, what doesn't. I go home, I analyze them.
Just on your phone?
Yes, just on my phone. I'll show Val even, ask his opinion on what we should change or keep, or if this is powerful enough. And then in my head, honestly, my biggest choreography moments come to me in my dreams. It's terrible because I call them kind of dance nightmares because it's not a restful sleep. But I'm always thinking of choreography or steps or counts or moves. But that
even on your way here, you were thinking stuff?
All the time. I'm thinking about how I'm going to finish my piece. I haven't put it on yet. I feel pretty good about where we're at, but it's still putting that ending on. And I'm going to go right to rehearsal after this, and I need to finish it. But sometimes I feel like I get my most inspiration when I have those moments to myself of like driving or sleeping or whatever. But yeah, it is a 24/7 process.
And then how do you just write it down? You're like, ending.
Yeah. I'll write it down, or do a voice note, or I'll record myself and be like, okay, I want Joey to do this. I'll count this and put me there. And I wish I had like a camera for my mind because she is jumbled, especially where we're at right now. It's the quarterfinals essentially. So yeah, there's a lot going on up there.
So is Val like that too? And then once he was eliminated, it kind of just...
Yeah, Val also is... He's a lot better than I am. He is really good at taking a step away from it. Not that he's not constantly thinking about it or so passionate about it, but I think just with the amount of years of experience that he's had, he's a bit better about coming home and leaving it at the door and getting that refresh that he needs. So I feel like I've learned a lot from him and tried to find elements of that. But now, yeah, once you're eliminated, you get a sense of like, oh, I can breathe now. My brain can relax. But he's so sweet. He's like, whatever you need, I'm here for you. And so he'll send me like little visuals that he's seen that he wants me to incorporate or something. So I'm really grateful for his expertise and genius.
What's your guys' life like outside the 3 months of Dancing with the Stars?
It's amazing. We're just normal people.
What do you guys do for fun?
Anything and everything. Something that I love most about Val, which he's just brought so much happiness into my life with this specific characteristic, is he is so on the spot.
In terms of what?
He just like does things in the spur of the moment, and he's spontaneous, And I hate that. I've always hated that. But because of him, now I love that. Where our day could go from like just having a regular day to ending up at the Getty Museum or doing something crazy or last minute booking a trip. And that's something that I love so much about him. Not when we need to plan things. I don't love that about him. But it's just adds so much excitement to the day where I'm like, I really don't know what our day is going to look like because it could land us anywhere. And also since becoming parents, I feel like, especially with our son, he wants him to see so much of the world and do so many things that every day he wants to do something. And I love that. It's been so much fun. But yeah, we, when we're off season, we're just regular people. We still dance. We teach a ton. We travel a ton for work.
Do you teach at the schools?
I don't teach at his studios that he has as much. I'll come in and do like a guest training. So he has a lot more responsibility when it comes to that. But we teach at kids conventions. We actually are starting a journey on a ballroom convention with Derek and Julianne Hough that's starting in January that we're putting a lot of energy and effort into that we're really excited to do.
Is that going to be a tour?
Yeah, so it will be, I think right now there's 6 or 8 cities that we're going to be doing just this first year to really nail it. But it's going to be really exciting.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Are you doing Dancing with the Stars tour?
TBD.
TBD.
Yes. We did it last year and I seriously had the time of my life. I think I cried almost every day because I just felt like I was living the dream, being able to tour and have my son on the road with us. And it had been my first tour in a couple of years. And it was a surreal experience and I loved every single second. So obviously we would love to do the tour. I think they're trying to finalize their like core people first. And if anything, we would just be like guests here and there, which I would love to do. So we'll see. We'll see if they'll have us.
Is that kind of the icing on the cake? Like you did your whole show and now you get to go meet all the people that you were performing in front of?
That's why I love tours so much, is you really get to meet the people who are so invested in your journey, who were taking the time every Tuesday night to vote for you. So tour is a really sentimental experience for me because I do get to see those faces and thank them or meet them. And also, I grew up loving to dance for a live audience. Dancing on TV is so incredible, so amazing, but there's nothing like performing for a live audience in a beautiful theater. That's where I get my adrenaline rush. And so yeah, I really, really love performing on tour.
Did last season feel bigger than most seasons prior?
In what way?
Audience engagement of like did it feel from the fans bigger?
Yes, and I think that there was an amazing reaction to last season.
Does it feel even bigger this season?
So I was going to say, I feel like especially with maybe social media became more relevant with the show, it just felt like last season there was this beautiful trajectory where there was a lot of momentum and people were getting re-energized into the show. We were getting a different fan base as well. More eyes were on us. And then this season just feels like it's blown up. Like I really feel like we're back to those old days where people are tuning in to Dancing with the Stars. And that's so exciting. And every week I feel like they've been saying, you've blown up our voting and this is the biggest vote we've gotten yet. So that makes us, I'm just going to speak for myself, that makes me feel like we're doing something amazing for the world. We're bringing people a lot of happiness, but I love that dance is being celebrated on such a huge front. That makes me so happy. I'm a huge advocate for dance. And so I love that people are excited about tuning in and seeing what we can do.
Were you always into dance even as a kid?
Yes, I'm a psychopath. I started at 3 and
no breaks since?
No. I started at 3 and I just went because my 2 older sisters were dancers and my mom was like, they couldn't keep me out of the studio. I just wanted to jump into class and like do what my sisters were doing. And literally since that age, I couldn't tell you anything else I've wanted to do except dance. And that sounds a little unhealthy, like I have other hobbies, I do, but I just always had the strong love and passion for it. And I always knew that I wanted to be a dancer. I didn't know how, where, what I was going to do, but I just knew that I wanted to end up dancing for my profession.
You moved out from Utah to LA.
Yes.
Was there a plan?
You should ask my parents. No, I moved out to LA when I was 18 in hopes that I would be a working dancer in LA.
What did that mean for like music videos?
So I had actually booked my first job, which was a contemporary company. It was called Still Motion with Stacey Tukey, and it was like my dream to do it. So that's what really took me out here. I don't think my parents would have let me just come out here with no plan in action. So that's what took me out here. And then a couple of months later, I then auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance and happened to make it on there. And then I went on tour with So You Think You Can Dance. As soon as I got home from tour, I actually went back to Utah, and days later I got called from Dancing with the Stars, and they were like, hey, we'd love to have you on the season. So then I moved back to LA and was like, this might be permanent. And then, yeah, I never looked back since, but that's kind of how it happened for me. And I feel very grateful that that's been my journey so far.
So when you went back to Dancing with the Stars for LA, what did you do once the show finished? Were you still in LA?
I was. And at that time, we were doing 2 seasons a year. And we were also
They need to bring that back.
Amen to that.
What
and
are
we
they
were
sleeping
also
on?
doing 2 tours a year.
Oh, so full years.
So I was living in LA, but I was doing a season, having 2 weeks off, going on tour, having 2 weeks off, doing a spring season, going straight into tour, going straight into season. So it was kind of a full-time thing where my family was like, where is she even? Where does she live? But yeah, I would say that LA was my home base, but I was kind of just always in the season or the tour.
Do you know why they stopped that? Was it COVID?
I don't know. No, I think we stopped 2 seasons before COVID. And I think it was just kind of like people weren't really watching live TV. I don't think we were getting the viewers that we were. I would be curious if we did 2 seasons a year now and what that would look like. I really think that we could pull it off and do it. Again, even if it were like an all-star season or the junior season, you know, I think if like the spring season were something special or an athlete season, I think it could really be fun for our audience.
If you had an athlete season, what kind of athlete would you want to be paired with? Do you have someone in mind?
Yes,
Who?
easy. I would immediately do Jason Kelce.
Really?
I think that he would be so much fun. I think that he would have the personality. This is me just assuming, but from what I've seen, I think he would have the personality to like, let's do this and I'll be down for whatever. Kind of like, do you remember David Ross? Grandpa Rossi? He was on a couple seasons ago with Lindsay Arnold. And he was just this like dad, this regular sports guy, but he came on the show. He did the funniest dances and he actually got second because people were just in love with his journey. So I think Jason Kelce would be really, really fun.
He'd be awesome.
Amazing.
Is there anyone that you've been blown away by their choreography this season?
Oh, for sure. I think this has been a really strong season in general with the cast. We have to give it up for the cast, first of all, the celebrities. And our casting director did an incredible job. I think that's why there's been a lot of hype as well behind the season, is we have some key players that have just brought in a beautiful audience. But as well, I think the pros have really stepped their game up. And obviously, I'm a big fan of Daniela Karagach. I think she's one of the best dancers that we have on the show, but also I think she has some beautiful creativity that she always brings. And I think it's been really awesome to have Whitney Carson back in a season. I'm always blown away by her creative genius. And I think that when people are really bringing their A game, it inspires me to do the same. So it's been fun. I feel like, again, I'll speak to them because they're girls and I'm close with them. But when it's really just inspired me to bring even more effort. It is a competition, but it's more just inspiration as well.
Do you ever share your videos of you and Joey with any of them?
No, I'm kind of weird about that. I like to keep things private, other than with Val.
Even when you guys are doing show and tell?
We'll do some show and tells, but still, not in a weird way. I just think that it's good. I've always told Joey from the beginning, I think it's good for us to kind of have blinders on and just focus on ourselves, because we can only control what he and I can control and what we do on the dance floor. We can't control what this person's doing or what they're bringing this week. And so for me, I like to stay focused. I love, again, if we're really rehearsed and we have time, sure, I'll do it. But I don't go looking for it.
When does he start to like get tired and you can see you're losing him? Does he last the full 4 hours?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, we do. We love our full 4 hours, and sometimes I have to remember to give us breaks because he'll just go. We'll just go, and I'll be like, you know what, we should take a second. Again, if there's a really hard dance, like with Argentine tango, I feel like that kind of busted our brains for a second. We had to have some like, let's step outside, let's have a refresh, and let's come back in and tackle this section. But yeah, he's really awesome about working hard and giving me his full effort for those full hours.
How is he on that transition from rehearsal to the ballroom? Because now you have the steps in play.
Yeah. I would say camera blocking days, which are our Mondays, sometimes can be a hit or a miss. Just because it's the first time you're getting on the floor with all of the lights, all of the elements, there's a lot of distractions. And that's why I don't like having other people in the room, is because it can take your attention so quickly. And it really deters from what like our purpose is. So he's really great about showing up for me and being focused. But yeah, I would say Mondays can sometimes be like a little shaky just with getting comfortable onto the floor with all of the added elements. And then Tuesday, I feel like he's a game time person. Like, you know, those people where you're like, they're going to show up once it's game time. He's one of those people that I know, knock on wood, I can rely on.
Are you a game time person?
I think so. I want to say I am. I become a different person when I perform. And I think sometimes it's a little scary for Joey. He's like, who was that? But like at the end of the day, I'm a performer and nothing is going to stop me from giving my all once the music starts and knowing what my purpose is. So yeah, I would say I'm a game time player.
What is your purpose? Where do you really feel the most that you get out of it? Is it figuring out the choreo, teaching somebody, that final performance?
I love all the aspects of it. I love the journey. I love the pressure of putting together a well thought out routine. I mean, sometimes it takes me over the edge and I'm like, oh, is this good enough? I have doubts in myself, doubts in the choreography and the movement, but then I love seeing it come to life. I love watching somebody tackle something that's so hard and become exquisite at it. And I think that's something that's been so fun with Joey is watching step A, step B, watching Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and watching it flourish Monday, Tuesday. But then, yes, at the end of the day, I am a performer. So I feel like for me, that's where I get my most fulfillment, is being able to do what I love most with all of the resources that the show has and be able to give a performance with my partner.
How many weeks do we have left?
3.
So 500 episode finale.
500th episode is the quarterfinals, which is after election week.
Yes.
Election day. And then semifinals, then finals.
Okay, so 2 more people get eliminated.
I think so.
Do you know what you're doing for the next episode after 500?
Not confirmed yet. I think I have the styles that we're supposed to do, but I'm still TBD because, again, hoping we make it through the 500th episode. Semifinals for me, and in my opinion, win it for you.
In what way?
I think it gives you the momentum that you need going into the finale. Because I think once you're in the finale, people already know who they kind of want to win. So I think semifinals are such a crucial time because it really solidifies who you want to see in the finale and then who you're just going to push for. So it's a really big decision of like what you're going to do in the semifinals. So I feel like I've kind of been going back and forth and back and forth. So I have an idea, but I haven't agreed to it yet.
What's going through your head on the finals? Like there's 4 people left.
Yeah. You mean just like what is the feeling like in a finale?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's overwhelming. Overwhelming because you're like, we've made it this far. So it is celebratory. But also, no one wants to lose. And you're so close.
Two mirror balls would be so cool.
Oh my goodness. Another mirror ball. And yeah, you're like so close you can taste it. But then there's also this really sad feeling of like, this is the last day with this person. This is the end of the journey. So there are so many emotions always going into a finale. But yeah, I think regardless, you're just trying to do an epic freestyle and an epic last performance that's going to leave a mark. Whether you win or you lose, something that's going to be memorable that's going to have people talking.
How is he now for this 500th episode? Like, what does he know of the dance?
He knows most of it. He knows most of it, which is fun.
Are there any dances that really challenge Joey?
If I look back at our season, I would say that Rumba was a really hard dance for us in general, just because it was week 2 and it was the slowest dance that we had done. And slow dances are always hard for non-dancers because this element of filling the space or the music when something is slow is so intimidating. Rather than if you have like a quick step, you're just running. And you know that you just need to keep running and moving and don't stop and you'll probably hit something or other. But when it's slow, you are under a magnifying glass of like, okay, they're not doing this right. They look uncomfortable. They can't just run through the music and make it look great. They have to fully commit. So I feel like Rumba was a really hard one for us. Yeah.
Are you counting for him during those performances?
I have cues that I yell at him.
What do those sound like?
Scary. They're not counts because he doesn't do counts. He is such a musical person, which I love because he really listens to the musicality and the beats and the accents. So yeah, if anything, it's like, I'm trying to think what our last dance was. I'll yell like hold or slide or up or think like little visual cues that will help him. But I could never be like 5, 6, set. It won't mean a thing to him.
How does that transition from rehearsal where you're playing it on the speaker to hearing the band? Is it similar?
It is. We thankfully get a band reference like 2 days before we have to do it in the ballroom floor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we get like a sense of what it's going to sound like. And sometimes it does sound different than what we've rehearsed. But again, thank goodness it doesn't throw him and he's just like looking for the drums or the guitar or something. But I do know people, I have had partners before where like the band, it sounds different than in the rehearsal space and it really throws them.
And that's on the final performance.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your Emmy nomination?
Sure. Yes, I'd love to.
What does it feel like being acknowledged for that?
Oh, wow. It's wild. I think once dance started to be recognized in the Emmy world, it became really epic for dance. And it had always been a goal of mine, of ours. And so when we were asked to create this Len Goodman piece, I didn't go into, after it was done, I wasn't like, oh yeah, this could definitely be Emmy nominated. But it was one of the first times that I was like, I feel so excited to submit this because I think there could be a chance. And so when we found out we were nominated, it was a bucket list moment for sure. I think also to be nominated with my husband was so incredibly special. Like who can say that they were nominated with their spouse on something that they created together? Yeah. And then just to have our work, our art be recognized is a dream come true.
So cool.
So cool.
You moved to LA.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in the LA scene versus the New York scene for dance?
Absolutely. I think there is. I think just in general, there's like kind of this vague, LA is commercial dance and New York is more like Broadway and theater. Obviously, I think you can do both in both places, but I think that's kind of the essence. And I would actually love to tap into that New York scene. I have a dream of being on Broadway.
What musical?
Chicago. I would love to do Chicago. Not that I'm an incredible singer by any means, but I would love to dance and act and be able to do it for a live audience. So Chicago's always kind of been a dream of mine. But yeah, anything really. I have so much admiration and respect for the artists that do a Broadway schedule. Val and I were doing a show this past summer in Chicago called Savor After Hours, and we had a Broadway schedule, which is basically 8 shows a week. It is brutal. And to know that there are artists doing that for years and years and years is incredible. Even just barely when we did the Disney Night opening performance, and his name is Michael James Scott.
Michael Scott?
Yeah, I know. Not from The Office. And
Not different guy.
Yeah, that's why I think they have James in there. But
well, he is Michael J. Scott.
Yes. Work. He is Aladdin on Broadway. And we were talking to him, and I think he's done it
yeah, he was there at
Yeah,
Disney.
he performed. He performed with us, and I was talking to him, and I think he said he was been doing it for like 10 years. Don't quote me on it. But that's a Broadway schedule for 10 years, and that's insane. And every time we did camera blocking and he rehearsed our number, it was as if the whole ballroom was a full theater of people. Like, the level of passion that you have to have is just amazing. So I would love to experience that, hopefully one day. And Val would be so happy to be back in New York.
Is he from New York originally?
He is.
Do we have like 5 minutes for fan questions?
We can do a quick fan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
How were you approached about being the first woman pro to dance with a woman celeb?
Ooh. So I was given a call, and basically the executives at that time were like, "Hey, Jenna, we have something so exciting happening this year. We are going to have the first ever same-sex pairing." And I don't know why when they called me, I was like, oh, it's going to be 2 guys. I don't know why I thought they were going to ask my opinion on it. I'm not sure what was going through my brain. I was like, no way. That is amazing. And then they were like, and it's going to be a female. And we wanted to know if you'd be willing to dance with a girl. So again, they did kind of ask me if I would be willing to do it. It's not like they were like, this is what's happening. And I'm so grateful that I said yes. But that's how I was approached by it.
You had no idea it was JoJo?
No, I didn't know it was JoJo. I was so curious on who it was going to be. But
I mean, what a pleasure once you see her.
Very excited. Very excited. And yeah, I forever that will hold a special place in my heart that season.
What was it like after welcoming your son into the world? And what did you learn about yourself after becoming a mom?
Wow. Ooh. I could go on and on about this. But yeah, I think that my whole purpose came to me as soon as he was delivered and put on my chest. Everything made sense. I felt so much power as a woman. I also had never felt so much inspiration in my life. I feel like just so much perspective, life. It all just made sense in those sacred moments after my son was delivered. And then, yeah, I think just in ways that I've changed, I am so much more thoughtful with my time because I know that it is limited. With him at the rehearsal studio, wherever it is, I just am so much more focused and present in those moments because I really want to be there. And I also am missing out on moments that I want to be at. So, when I'm at rehearsal, I know that I got to give my all effort these 4 hours because I know my son's at home. He's missing me, but this is like mommy's job. And I want him to be proud of what I'm doing. So I love that I feel like I'm a lot more present and thoughtful with my time.
What inspires you for your choreography?
So many things. I think art in general, visuals, beauty, music. Lyrics are huge when it comes to my choreography. I love little nuances that you can hit that make people feel something in that moment. So like this last week with our Argentine tango, I had Joey unzip my body. The lyric said, unzip my body, take my heart out. And I was like, you know what? We're going to go literal with this. So he like grabbed my head and unzipped my chest and pulled out my heart. And those are just like little Easter eggs for myself and for the audience that I hope that they appreciate in the dance.
I know you have to go, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Guys, vote for Jenna.
Oh,
vote
thanks.
for Joey.
Please vote for Joey.
Get him through to the next episode.
We would love that.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
My weight's out. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That's so good.